Yo, what is going on, everyone in the XRP community? Hope you guys are having yourselves a fantastic day today. As usual, I'm coming at you guys with a video on Saturday morning. I hope you guys are enjoying your weekend so far. I did have some information I wanted to go over today. Just a couple of things, but a couple, things that I thought are really worth going over and make a video about. So, let's go ahead and get into it. So, first off, the last time we had a Brad Garlinghouse AMA was about 6 months ago. I went ahead and tweeted out on Twitter like, Ripple, man, it's time to have another Brad Garlinghouse AMA. It sure has been a while. I'm going like, hey, like this tweet if you want this to happen. Got a decent response. I'm going to drop this in the comment section below. Guys, go show this tweet some love. Let's see, if we get enough likes on this, maybe it'll, alert Ripple and Brad's notifications enough to where they might be wanting to do and ask me anything. Because the last one we had, it was 6 months ago at the beginning of 2019, and considering that we just got into Q3 and we should be looking for the Q2 report coming up here in probably the next 10, 11, 12 or so days, I honestly think we are due for another Brad Garlinghouse AMA. Considering the first one was at the very beginning of 2019, we are halfway through now, so I think we're due for another one. Now, whether or not this tweet gets any more exposure than it has now, I think probably we're going to be seeing either a Brad AMA or a Schwartz AMA or something like that soon. But honestly, we need to see Big Brad up on a live stream because, man, it sure has been a while. Hoping to really see that soon. Okay, next piece of information I have for you guys today is listen to this from PayFast, ending support for Bitcoin. I want you guys to go ahead and listen to this because this is a real world scenario of Bitcoin completely actually not working. At PayFast, we're constantly striving to extend our merchants' reach by offering innovative payment solutions. Our pioneering culture led to PayFast being the first and only South African payment gateway to make Bitcoin available as a revolutionary new payment method. Unfortunately, there are a number of limitations and design flaws unique to Bitcoin that make it an impractical substitute for cash, including high transaction fees and long confirmation times for buyers. We've tried various ways to mitigate these problems, but unfortunately, these issues are fundamental. These resultant poor user experience had led us to reevaluate Bitcoin as a payment method on our platform, and a decision has been taken to discontinue support for Bitcoin from midnight, July 20th, 2019. What is that? Wait, Bitcoin slow, inefficient, not working? What? This is a shocker. Oh god, guys, this is not a shocker. We've known this has been happening since day one. Now, you can actually see here that down in this paragraph, it says it's estimated that the Bitcoin network can handle only about 7 transactions per second. What is this, the 1960s? I mean, come on. I think Swift might be better than that. Wait, is Swift more than 7 transactions per second? I would like to know. Like, is Swift actually better than Bitcoin? Either way, in comparison, Visa performs at around 24,000 transactions per second, and even newer cryptocurrencies far significantly better than Bitcoin, with Ripple, they're obviously meaning XRP, with XRP processing approximately 1,500 transactions per second and is currently being scaled to 10K TPS on Ledger. However, off-Ledger payment gateways can actually scale to 50K TPS, twice the throughput of Visa. So, what are we seeing here? A payment vendor who has supported Bitcoin for quite a long time are coming up and actually seeing the design flaws firsthand and resulting in poor user experience. So that's why they're ditching it as a payment method. And it seems like they are sort of referring to like, hey, we might be adding, other cryptocurrency, methods in the future, but not exactly Bitcoin. So I would love to see them actually adopt XRP. So guys, this is textbook real world examples of why Bitcoin is not a sufficient payment method. I know the argument is, oh no, it's not a payment method, it's a store of value. I don't really buy that at all. But it was initially meant to be, if you read the white paper, it's a peer-to-peer cash electronic system. That's what it was built to be, and that's what it's currently not being able to actually live up to. So that's why we're seeing payment vendors like PayFast ending their support for Bitcoin. By the way, if you guys didn't know, Steam, the big gaming platform that I actually pull up, right here, they used to actually accept Bitcoin. They completely dropped it about a year and a half ago. And I believe also Microsoft was accepting it for online, like digital gaming-based purposes. They also ditched it as well. So this has actually been happening for quite some time now, and it's quite clear. It's an inefficient system, does not work. Okay, so enough getting on the bad stuff of Bitcoin. Let's go ahead and get our next piece of information for today, which I think is really interesting for 2 reasons. Let's go ahead and get into it. This is provided by Stuart Alderoti. Make sure to give him a follow on Twitter. Very, very thankful for him for sharing this information to us a couple days ago. Now, this is from FBO.gov, which is the Federal Business Operations Government website, and they have an interesting document for us today. Attachment 1, requirements list. The U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission requires a data source for blockchain ledger data to support its efforts to monitor risk, improve compliance, and inform commission policy with respect to digital assets. This subscription includes, but is not limited to, the below requirements: blockchain types and composition. At minimum, the subscription shall include the Bitcoin and Ethereum blockchain. So what the SEC is doing here is they're actually hiring a vendor to come in and actually run nodes, or actually, mine the Bitcoin and actually participate in the network to gather data on as many blockchains as possible. So that's really significant. We already knew that the SEC was wanting to do this, but now this is kind of like, here, we're actually taking action and now doing this. Now, the second interesting part about this is how it says, in addition, the subscription shall include as many as possible of the following blockchains. So they're saying at the minimum, they will include both Bitcoin and Ethereum, but obviously, they want to get as many information on as many blockchains as possible. If you are the regulators, you don't just want to be covering, 2 blockchains, because again, criminals and illicit activities, not just going to use two blockchains. They're going to, branch out to others as well. So that's why I do believe they're going to, branch out into these other blockchains listed here. Now, the interesting part, they're wanting to gather data on these blockchains and actually, become a validator on these blockchains, and actually mine the currency and actually participate in the network to gather as much data as possible. Now, the second interesting part here is how, listen to this. In addition, the subscription shall include as many as possible of the following blockchains: Bitcoin Cash, Stellar, Zcash, EOS, Neo, and XRP Ledger. Now tell me, don't you guys always see the SEC, government authorities, banks, and, vendors like PayFast who refer to it as Ripple all the time? I mean, we're kind of getting sick of it now that, got to really differentiate between Ripple and XRP. They're 2 completely different entities. But this is weird that we're actually seeing the Federal Business Operations, who I imagine, is working close with the SEC to, get this data on these blockchains. But really, really interesting for you guys to note that the Federal Business Operations and the SEC are referring to it as the XRP ledger. Now, I don't know if I'm going crazy here because this little dip recently, but I could have sworn that every single time we read a document from a government entity like the SEC or the Federal Business Operations, or even for the United Nations, for example, they actually got it correct. But for the most part, when you read about people talking about Ripple, they're always, or when they're trying to talk about XRP, they always call it Ripple. Now, I gotta say, how the heck did the Federal Business Operations know to call it the XRP ledger? Because unless you're, actually diving in and doing real research, you're going to, be the typical sheeple and, refer to it as Ripple. But for them to actually refer to it as the XRP ledger, I think that's a significant step forward in the education of these regulatory bodies, because they could have just taken the low blow and said Ripple, but man, they actually cited it directly as the XRP ledger. So I wonder if this is one of the blockchains that the SEC is really wanting data on, considering that, Ripple and MoneyGram just filed with the SEC on a whole deal to do with, $50 million and XRP. So all of a sudden now we're seeing them refer to it as the XRP ledger. That is a pretty immense step, in my opinion, because I have read countless amounts of government entities and a countless amount of just, financial institutions all refer to it as Ripple, but we're actually seeing the regulators refer to it as the XRP ledger. So I think that kind of gives us a note of that these regulators are potentially actually doing more research and are wanting specific data on the XRP ledger, because again, it's the most transparent and compliant one with regulators. So of course they're going to want to, take part in and, research and get all the data from it. So really cool. Glad to see them call it the XRP ledger and stray away from calling it Ripple, which is entirely incorrect. And honestly, I am just impressed at that. They actually called it the XRP ledger. Are they doing significant research? Did they actually find out what the blockchain's really called? I mean, really interesting stuff. All right, guys, so thank you so much for tuning in the video today. Really do appreciate it. Nothing too crazy, but just a couple of pieces of information I wanted to discuss with you guys today that I thought were pretty cool. So yeah, make sure, do check the comments. I will post that. I will post this tweet in the comments below. Make sure, do show this tweet some love. I really would love to see a Brad AMA, and I would love to live stream it for you guys. And I love how, when the Brad AMAs happen, my live stream of the AMA gets more than the Ripple channel. I think that's just hilarious. But anyways, I would love to see another Brad Garlinghouse AMA. It's been a while. I think the community does need its leader, and we do need to hear from him and get some updates and some breadcrumbs from Brad Garlinghouse. So Make sure you guys do show the sweet some love. I really want to see a Brad Garlinghouse AMA happen in the near future. All right, guys, thanks so much for tuning in the video today. Really do appreciate it. Make sure you do smash the like, subscribe, check the links in the description if you want to support the channel. Check below the description if you want to get yourself some Ripple XRP merch. And as always, hit those post notifications so you never miss a video to stream. And as always, let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Always do appreciate to hear your insight. All right, guys, thank you for tuning in the video today. I'll see you guys in the next one.